So the question is just how safe are these devices? We know they don't contain many of the harmful chemicals that real cigarettes do, but they do contain unregulated amounts of nicotine. And the Cornwall Stop Smoking Service has seen a rise in the number of people addicted to these e-cigarettes. Now, we heard from Linda Quee from the Stop Smoking Service briefly in that report. I've invited her back in for a more in-depth look at these e-cigarettes. Thank you for coming in. Can we just clarify something? These vapour devices are not regulated yet, are they?
No, they're not regulated yet, and we're hoping that will happen within the next few months. It's also important to know that these devices are not designed to help people to stop smoking. They're to help people to take in nicotine, but to get over the smoking ban.
But some people say they're fantastic devices which have helped them stop smoking. So it's anecdotally, some would say it has helped them.
Anecdotally, yes, we get people coming into our stop smoking groups and clinics and drop-ins, and they bring along their e-cigarettes or their vaporizers with them, and they say it's helpful, but you don't know how much nicotine you're getting from them, and very often people are making their addiction even worse because they don't know how much nicotine they're getting.
Let me just nail you down on something then. I mean, you know that nicotine, and I know that nicotine, as an ex-smoker, we're the worst sort, is more addictive than heroin. We know that as fact. Yes. Are you telling me now that youngsters are getting hooked? Are you seeing people coming in, youngsters, hooked on these e-cigarettes?
Oh yes, nicotine is a highly addictive drug, as you said, and it doesn't matter whether you take that through an e-cigarette or an ordinary cigarette. You can become addicted to it, and you know, the majority of people will be addicted if they use them regularly.
And are you seeing youngsters addicted to these things?
Yes, we're seeing a broad age range of people who are coming in and they're addicted to their e-cigarettes, and we're having to use medication to get them off their e-cigarettes.
You must be incredibly frustrated, because we tried to get the electronic industry, the trade industry on air. They declined. But they have said, and I quote, "Our position is that electronic cigarettes are reduced harm alternatives to smoking, and as such, the products they're only appropriate for adult consumers." But when you start hearing about coconuts flavoured, strawberry flavoured, vanilla flavoured, what messages is that sending out?
Absolutely. If you go into one of these shops and have a look at the strawberry flavour, the bubblegum flavour, the peach flavour, they are designed to make it attractive, particularly to young people. Ordinary cigarettes, manufacturers put chocolate in there, vanilla in there, sugar in there, because raw tobacco is not a nice taste. But it's the same with these. It's to make it attractive to people. And personally, I'm convinced it's to make it attractive to young people.
I mean, what they've said is, and I quote, "Since electronic cigarettes are intended to mimic the physical actions and sensations of smoking, their use by minors under 18 should be prohibited, regardless of the presence or absence of nicotine." Should. So anyone can buy these things then? It's only a voluntary code? It
is only a voluntary code. Obviously, ordinary cigarettes, you cannot buy them if you're under the age of 18. That's now been law for several years. But technically, anyone could go in and buy an electronic cigarette, can buy nicotine, which is an addictive drug.
You're saying regulation should happen in a couple of months' time, and I suppose that would be the Clinical Excellence Group, NICE, who will regulate them. One assumes then your Stop Smoking service will be getting hold of them and using them?
And absolutely, if we could have an electronic cigarette, and we know that one is, almost ready, it's gone through its trials, that we know how much nicotine people are getting from each of the cartridges. If you have a packet of cigarettes, you know how much nicotine someone is getting. Because the electronic cigarette, you can refill it yourself, and you can refill it several times a day. You can be getting several times more nicotine than you are from your cigarettes.
See, I don't understand the difference. Years ago, when I tried to give up fags 20 years ago, I could buy those little cartridges. I burnt, the little plastic little things.
Yes.
And people used to, but they didn't give out vapour. So the only difference between these and those is one gives out vapour, the others didn't.
And also, because you're taking the nicotine in through your mouth, you're actually breathing it in. It reacts slightly differently with the body. So it gives you, it mimics a cigarette better. But we also have some really good nicotine replacement therapy products as well that are getting much better at doing the same.
2 million people now use them. I mean, did you ever think 3 or 4 years ago it would take off to this level?
No, I think that's caught everyone by surprise. But that does mean that there are still 8 million smokers out there who are smoking ordinary cigarettes.
Right, OK. And but there's still the argument these things are far safer than smoking cigarettes. Yes, you're not aware of all the dangers because they're not regulated, but they're better than all the formaldehyde and the arsenic and all the horrible 4,000 chemicals in ordinary cigarettes, aren't they?
It has far fewer chemicals in than ordinary cigarettes, but we cannot say that they're safe. We're hoping that they're safer.
What would you say to parents listening then? Because clearly there are youngsters buying these and using these who haven't even smoked. So some might argue they are encouraged, the youngsters are encouraged to try them.
Yes, and it's actually encouraging someone to try an addictive substance. And I think sometimes that's forgotten, that nicotine is addictive.
Linda, good talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
I think we've sort of cleared up a few sort of misdemeanors there. Anything that you don't know about e-cigarettes, you probably now do know. Yes, you don't have the chemicals, but you don't know how much nicotine you're absorbing, and it is more addictive than heroin. The choice is yours, but if you're an adult who has youngsters, find out for goodness sake if your youngsters are using them.